After countless inspections and maybe a few heartbreaks, you've finally found the one. You make an offer, hold your breath, and it's accepted. But before you start planning the housewarming, here comes the building pest report. A building inspection can be a real eye-opener. And while you might be hoping for a clean bill of health, sometimes it reveals problems you hadn't even considered. Cracks in the foundation, pest infestations, or maybe something a little less dramatic, but still costly. And this is where things get really tricky. Should you walk away, possibly missing out on your dream home? Or can you use the new knowledge from your building pest report to your advantage and renegotiate the price? Well, today, we're going to step through this exact situation and show how you can turn the tables and use the building pest report to your advantage. The reality is knowing options can save you thousands and ensure you're making the best decision of your financial life. Like some of our clients, Sarah and Ben, who managed to save $15,000 from their purchase price after they did the pest inspection. We'll check in with them how they did it later.
Welcome to the Buying Your First Home podcast, your personal guide through the Australian housing market. Here we tackle the big questions and the small details that come up when buying your first home. From financial prep to finding the right neighbourhood, we're here to ensure that you've got all the knowledge at your fingertips. So let's take the first step towards unlocking the door to your new home.
All right, so let's get into it. Why would you renegotiate after a pest inspection? The reality is finding out your dream home has flaws can be a real bummer. But before you panic and think that those months of research have come to nothing, there is a bit of a silver lining. A building inspection gives you a powerful tool, leverage. Think of it this way. As a buyer, you made your initial offer based on the assumption that the property was in a certain condition. If the inspection reveals hidden problems, it changes that equation. The issues that you've identified can directly impact the property value. And here's where the renegotiation comes in. It protects you from overpaying. You shouldn't have to pay top dollar for a house that needs significant repairs. Renegotiating lets you adjust the price to reflect the true value of the property. Secondly, you can address future costs. Issues like termite damage or a leaky roof won't just fix themselves. Addressing them now through a renegotiated price can save you even bigger headaches and expenses down the road. And the third reason is just fairness. Renegotiating ensures you get a fair deal, and at the end of the day, you deserve to know what you're really buying into. The building inspection isn't just about finding problems. It's really just empowering you to make the best financial decisions for your future house. So now we've covered that, let's go on to the more practical stuff. I'll walk you through the main options to renegotiate after you've had a building and pest inspection. Option 1, a price reduction. Let's say the inspection reveals some legitimate concerns and fixing them is going to cost a huge chunk of cash. This is where you might want to renegotiate a price reduction. Here's how to approach this. Firstly, understand the issues. Don't just skim through the report. Take time to read it and understand the problems identified. Even give the building and pest inspector a call. Are they major structural concerns or just something cosmetic or something in between? Second, get your estimates. All right, time to grab your calculator. You want to get quotes from qualified tradespeople to get a realistic understanding of how much the repair is going to cost. Having legitimate quotes is going to be your biggest bargaining chip, but you can always try and get an estimate over the phone to understand what it's going to cost you. Thirdly, seek professional advice. If you're dealing with serious issues, it's wise to consult a qualified builder or your mortgage broker to see if these repairs are going to impact the way the bank's going to value the property. And lastly, time to negotiate with the seller. This is where the real conversation begins. You'll probably be negotiating via the seller's agent. If you don't feel comfortable with that, some people just do it via your own conveyancer. You can send them an email saying, hey, we've identified these issues. Please request a price reduction of $15,000 on this basis. It's entirely up to you if you go via your conveyancer or you speak directly to a real estate agent, but just be prepared for a bit of back and forth. It's not often that they just say, yep, I'm going to take a $15,000 hit. Thanks for coming. See you later. It's worth thinking about too. Smaller cosmetic issues could be worth fixing yourself. So these aren't going to be a fantastic bargaining tool. If the wall's missing a bit of paint, there's some chip balustrades, it's probably not going to help compared to bigger ticket items that would actually reduce the sale price and risk them losing the sale. So now I've covered price renegotiation, and depending on the seller's situation, this could or could not work. Which brings us to option number 2, requesting repairs. Sometimes asking for a price reduction might not be your ideal situation. Maybe the repairs are essential for the home's safety or functionality, and you just prefer the seller to handle them and it's all sorted out before you move into the home. Here's a few things you want to think about. Firstly, prioritize the major repairs. Focus on the repairs that are crucial and could significantly affect the quality of life or the property's actual value. Think of them like major structural problems, faulty roof, major electrical issues, or pest infestations. Next, try and be realistic. Not every minor imperfection warrants a seller's fixing. You want to be a bit selective here and put your requests that aren't overly demanding or derail your negotiations. Third, know your rights. Research local regulations or talk to your conveyancer to understand if the issues you've identified are breaches of contract and if the seller is legally required to fix them. And remember to document everything. Keep records of your conversation. Just to chat with the real estate agent with them saying, yeah, we're going to totally fix that before settlement doesn't count for anything. Make sure you send an email, send a text message, Keep records of that because these records are going to be crucial if ever a disagreement arises. Remember, successfully negotiating repairs often depends on how motivated the seller is to complete the sale. So you're going to need to consider that angle when you're asking for these requests. If they're in no rush or there's a backup offer that's unconditional, you might have less leverage. Arranging a price reduction. All right, so you've had your inspection results, repair estimates, you've spoken with the agent, you've negotiated a $10,000 price drop. What actually happens now? Do they give you the $10,000 at settlement? This is where there's two actual pathways to follow for your solicitor to update the contract price. The first one is a deed of variation. If you're looking at a significant price reduction, a deed of variation is the way to go. This is a legal document drawn up by the lawyers to officially show the changes in the contract price. So if you'd agreed on $600,000, there was going to be a $10,000 drop. The deed of variation keeps the original contract to sell in place because if you rip that up, then potentially they can terminate the contract and walk away. They don't want to do that. They'll do a deed of variation to drop it to $590,000. And the big benefit here is you're paying stamp duty on a lower amount. So with the deed of variation, the stamp duty is calculated on the lower purchase price. So in this case, you're going to be paying stamp duty on $590,000. The downside to getting a deed of variation is the legal fees. Usually solicitors will charge money to draw up the deed of variation, but it's worth considering the difference in stamp duty because sometimes that can be thousands of dollars. The second method for reducing the purchase price after you've renegotiated is a settlement adjustment. For smaller price changes, this can simplify things. Instead of changing the contract, you and the seller agree on a reduced amount as adjusted at settlement. Different states have different rules around there. Some lawyers even won't let you do a bigger settlement adjustment than $500. So speak to your solicitor or conveyancer about this and see what they can do. The downside is you're going to still be paying stamp duty on the original purchase price. So if it was a $600,000 purchase, $10,000 adjustment, they're still going to be calculating stamp duty on the $600,000 as there's a $10,000 adjustment at settlement. Now, the most important thing here, whichever route you do, either way, you need to inform your bank and your mortgage broker. The main reason is your home loan is based on the property's value. So the lender's going to need to know if that's changed because it could affect their LVR, lender's mortgage insurance, and other assessments. But what happens if things just aren't working out? Can you actually walk away from the deal? Let's talk through withdrawing your offer. Imagine a worst case scenario. The inspection reveals a major issue, cracks in the foundations, excessive pest damage, or something equally severe. Or maybe the seller just refuses to budge on the repairs or a price reduction. In these cases, it might be time to reconsider your offer. This is where the process is going to change state by state. I'm going to break down what happens in Queensland. Before acceptance, if the offer hasn't been signed by the seller, you can freely withdraw it. Just make sure to do so in writing and submit it to the agent as soon as possible. This is where you can use a deadline to help with the negotiations. You could include an expiry date in your offer, giving the seller a limited time to accept. If it expires, your offer is automatically off the table. In Queensland, you can also have a building and pest clause. So if an issue happens in the 14 days, you might have a rebuilding and pest clause. You can potentially terminate the contract without penalty. Speak with your solicitor or conveyancer on this, on the exact steps. But if that building and pest report isn't satisfactory to you, that's what the clause is there for. So let's chat about Sarah and Ben's $15,000 success story. Sarah and Ben were over the moon. Their offers accepted on an awesome older Queenslander. But as is the emotional roller coaster that buying a property is, their excitement turned to worry when their inspection report revealed a leaky roof with potential water damage. Now, this is obviously a costly fix and they didn't want to really overpay for the property. So here's how they handled it. Firstly, they got the facts. Sarah and Ben went online and got 2 quotes from a few local roof repair agencies. The estimates for the repair, including fixing any internal damage, ranged from $12,000, the second was $18,000. Next, they presented their findings to the seller's agent along with a clear request for a $15,000 price reduction. See, the good thing here is it wasn't just a random number. They gave them the 2 quotes. They said it's going to cost somewhere between $12,000 and $18,000. $15,000 is fair. Now, as is always the case, the seller was hesitant. They only wanted to reduce by 10. And after some back and forth, they agreed on a price reduction of $15,000. They spoke with their conveyancer and their mortgage broker. The conveyancer drew up a deed of variation to reduce the purchase price for $15,000 and actually save them a bit on stamp duty as well. A few weeks later, Sarah and Ben moved into their home with a new roof and a few $1,000s of savings. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground, but here's what you need to know. Finding a problem after a building inspection can be stressful, but it can also give you a bit of power. Whether it's a price reduction or requesting repairs, use those inspection results to get a fair deal that reflects the true value of the property. Remember to know your options. You can choose an approach that works best for you. Don't be afraid to walk away from the deal if it just isn't the right fit or it's going to require way more repairs than you initially signed up for. And don't be afraid to get some advice. Speak to your conveyancer, broker, local builders are really going to help you through this process to understand what it's actually going to cost. At the end of the day, a building inspection is an investment in your future. By taking time to understand your options and taking informed decisions, you'll ensure that you're purchasing your dream home and not someone else's problems. At Hunter Galloway, we're the home for home buyers across Australia. If you need help with finance, hit us up at huntergalloway.com.au. Until next time, see ya.